But when did you realize that you guys had made it? When did you realize, wow, we actually, you know, all the singles are coming up, but there was a song or moment that you thought, you know, actually.
I would say, I guess, I mean, I knew we had done pretty good. Like once, I don't know, Steelo did pretty good to me in my mind, and Get It Together did even better. You know, that's where we won like Soul Train Awards and all of that good stuff. But it wasn't about the awards. I think I really realized it with the just the reception of the people, like more and more people noticing us and appreciating us. And I think once we recorded the first album, we did the whole Good Burger thing. I think, and we did a lot with Nickelodeon. I think that's, for me, that's when I felt like, okay, we must kind of be okay, because I grew up on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I grew up watching that channel, and to you know, do different shows on Nickelodeon and have this music with this Nickelodeon film, you know, that was the theme song, you know, for Good Burger. And even when we got a chance to do, you know, even though we were ourselves on Meelah and you know, Brandy show and Sister with Tia and Tamara, like, wow. I mean, if you blink, you missed us. But the point is,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're actually like, we might, I guess we're kind of made it a little bit. Like, people might actually be digging us. We get to do all these super cool things. But of course, it wasn't until I think Where My Girl's At, like, once I realized like that was just everywhere.
Yeah.
Like once we got to come to London and do Top of the Pops.
Oh yes.
I knew we made it.
You know, most of my guests will always say that when they were on Soul Train, that's when their family says, okay, you've made it. Like the moms and grandmoms and grandparents watch you on Soul Train.
Well, yeah, that's why I was like, you know, we won. That's when we won.
The Soul
Train
show. Yeah, the old show, like the
show, right?
Yeah,
yes, no, they're right. And I mentioned the award because I'm like, if you win any award, you as a musician, you want to win a Grammy, right?
Yeah.
And our first award was the Soul Train Award, a Lady of Soul Train Award to be exact. And you know, in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, this is like Don Cornelius, like, legacy. Like, excuse me, you know, that's major for sure. I mean, those were my mom grew up on Soul Train and watching the Elder Barges and the Barge Family. And
it was much harder to win a Soul Train Award than it was a Grammy, because the Grammys were very political. It was very much it was very it's changed now, but back then it was very political. They always have the same, you know, and I love Anita Baker, but they'll have a say, but they you know, Soul Train was very much up against a lot of competition. When you guys were out though, did you know, it was you guys, there was Black, there was 3LW. I mean, you know, the same kind of teenage girls. What was there a competition among you guys, or how was it back then?
No, I think I don't even really remember running into anyone other than, I think we may have seen Black here and there. 3LW, I feel like, came out later, maybe after us, so I don't remember running into them. The only ones I really remember running into and actually sharing the stage with and doing the same shows with, like, we did Soul Train with them. We had a few different shows, you know, we would always be in the same lineups here and there, was Destiny's Child.
Oh, were they on the same age and stuff?
It was their first album, and I think it was probably our second album, because our first album came out in 96. So the second album of ours came out in like 99, and I think that's when their first album dropped.
Wow.
So yeah, we did shows with them. Like, I remember doing a show with them like in Houston. It was like Beyonce's birthday, and she had the camera and wanted everybody to say happy birthday. And I remember them at Soul Train backstage, and I remember Latavia, who I'm actually good friends with now in real life. She would say, I remember her saying they were talking about competition then. Someone, I don't know, some media person was back there and talked about competition, and we were like, and Latavia was like, but it's good competition, it's friendly competition. And I always remember Kelly and Beyonce being super sweet. I remember, you know, they tried to pit us against them back then. And I think Vibe, we had a whole spread in Vibe where we were on one side of the page and Destiny Child was on the other side of the page in Vibe magazine. Because I think that's when Where My Girls At had come out for us, which was, you know, doing really well for us. And then I think that's when probably what was their Bills, 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 what was their first song from that album? Was it Bills, Bills, Bills? Maybe or Bugaboo or whatever. Like, but they like, you know, they hit hard. They like really hit the scene. And so we both were doing really well around that time. So I remember specifically them. First album, Total. We would do lots of things with Total. Total was out. They came out around the same time that we did. Escape and SWV were before us. So they like, I looked up to them totally. Like, you know, I was still in high school and SWV, of course, I was a Coco fanatic and Escape was out as well. And I'm just looking like, oh my gosh, there's so many cool like groups out. Girl groups.
So many.
It was a lot back then, right? Which is sad. Not now.
Yeah, that's a pity that it's not now. But
maybe no groups. Maybe one group.
What do you think happened because Destiny's Child just went on to another level and then you guys stalled? What do you think was the difference between that?
I think there were so many differences. I think we had been going for such a long time. I know they probably had started a while back as well. But I think we had started really having a lot of internal issues. That's when a lot of our stuff just kind of, all the personal stuff kind of took its toll. I think also there was some political stuff with the label, but unfortunately, I think our inner stuff got the best of us. Beyonce's dad was the manager.
Yeah, I interviewed him, Matthew.
Yeah, and you know, Mr. Knowles made it clear, I'm sure, that hey, this is the lead singer, this is her role, this is y'all's roles. You know, and in my group, I think, although we had the brother-in-law as the manager, and I was technically the lead singer or whatever, I don't think that's not something that they ever really liked to hear. That was not really fun for them to hear, and me either, because it always made me feel uncomfortable. And I think, I mean, you know, you may not think so or not, but those things, they matter. They make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think it starts to play on your psyche. You know, if you're a lead, but then you're constantly feeling like, I don't know if I should be because I feel bad because, you know.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, I felt bad. I came into school. I was never insensitive to that. I always understood why they would feel the way they feel. But at the same time, it started to get a little old and it started to get a little frustrating. And I think those things just took its toll. And I think it gets a little hard. I think it gets overwhelming for you as an individual. And when you've been working at it for so long, you know, all of us have been working at it for so long, you know, you just kind of get, if you feel like you're not doing it the way you maybe thought you'd be doing it or perceive or whatever, you know, I think you just get frustrated and you just kind of give up and you don't look at the bigger picture. You allow all that stuff to kind of, I think, get in the way of what really matters, you know, which is the music. Do you know what I mean? I think Destiny's Child, they had it structured. They knew look, this one, she knows what she do. She knows what she do.
Yeah.
And this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. No questions asked. That wasn't really the case with our situation, even though most of the time I was singing the leads and it had kind of become like, okay, it just is what it is. It never really fully stuck, I don't think, because of how the group came about, because of how my entrance came about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine if I formed a group with, you know, my siblings.
Yeah, and here comes this random girl, right?
Got the name and everything, and now it just seems if, you know, somebody's coming in and taking the limelight, you know, the dark skin one in between the two light skin, and, you know, the more recognizable. But you know, as I said, most of us as human beings, you know, we react in that same way. I do wonder, is there no one in charge? So, like, you know, does Michael Bivins get involved to say, okay, guys, this is why we're doing stuff, or Motown, or you know, there's no person, like we talked about Mr. Knowles voice saying this. Is there no one within?
It was, I think, well, I don't know. Mr. Bivins probably didn't get involved in that, no, but I do believe like management and
The management
maybe,
is family.
well, later on, well, right, but later on, I had, when I went back for the third album, there was separate management that I pulled in. He actually was the executive producer of the first album, Todd Russo, and then he managed me the third album. So him, their brother-in-law, sometimes people from the label, A&Rs, sometimes would try and have those conversations, but they just didn't always go well, you know? And so it would just turn into more tension and stress. Honestly, to me, in my mind, the difference is diligence, hard work, and discipline. You know, I think we got to a point where we allowed all of that stuff, like I said, to kind of overtake the bigger picture. And I'm not blaming us because we were young and we went through a lot. And it was traumatic. And, you know, I respect how everybody felt back then. I really, truly do. I get it on all sides. But it was very hard. You know, it was very hard for me. And this is just my truth. It was very hard for me. But I did my job. I never complained. I took a lot of hits, not physically, but it felt that way a lot of times. It was hard for me a lot of times. Am I claiming like, oh, woe is me? No, because again, those girls went through a lot as well. Like their feelings were hurt as well, but it was rough.
Well, I mean, you know, we talked earlier about, you know, when you went through everything with Zach, did you get help as therapy? And you said no, and then I wonder when you guys were going through all this stuff, does anyone get someone to talk to listen to bounce it out? Because I don't know if you remember the group Profile who sang Liar. So I interviewed LJ, and he said he was going through all this stuff. His dad had died, all this was happening, and they said sing, and he said he was going through depression. He felt, and he just quit the group. He says, I can't continue doing this. And you know, so it was same Motown. But he said no one at the label cared. They, you know, Kadar was in charge then, and he was like struggling with this side, and I felt for him, but I thought, you know, but for you guys, was they don't
really care like that. By they, I mean like the label.
The label is a business, and you're a commodity, and you know, we'll get somebody else.
The label don't really care that much. Sorry, it just is what it is.
But
we all have our stories. You know what I mean? Like I know my group members. I'm not the only one that went through it. Like I said, they had their story. They went through stuff too, I'm sure. You know, when Misha got pregnant, right at the top of the release of Where My Girl's At, you know, and the label, you know, she went through hell for that, and we almost got shelved for that. You know, it was just a lot, you know, and it's like nobody's really taking our feelings into consideration. You know what I mean? It's just like, look, we got to put this album out, you know, so either y'all gonna do this or y'all gonna do that, or to all of y'all, like, you know. It's like, so there's always stuff happening. So yeah, I mean, the short answer, like, to the question of, you know, why do you think, you know, they went here, and when we were at the peak of our career, it's just all the drama finally, I think, just kind of surfaced, and just from 96, you know. Now here we are like 2000, and it was just a lot of stuff still there, you know what I mean, that hadn't really been resolved. It's just chaotic, unfortunately, by then.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you for being part of Halftime Chats. This new update is really about our membership, and I'm really excited to be able to fully launch the membership page. There will be things like full interviews from day one. As soon as the interview drops, you get access to it without any ads on it. There'll be some exclusive member-only videos that will just be some behind-the-scenes stuff, and some other things that we will never be broadcast. For some members, you can be able to get actually 2 interviews, because I do have a backlog of almost 7 or 8 interviews that I don't even know when I'm going to be able to broadcast them. So you're able to get at least some of those up front, and some just behind the scenes stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that I have never been able to talk about or release. For everyone else, you know what, the videos will still be the same, over a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks, depending on how long it is. So everything stays the same. The polls stay the same. The community chats, the community stuff stays the same. But I think with the membership stuff, I'm able to add a little bit more and invest a lot more time and energy in really supporting the members. So I do hope you come on that ride with me. I appreciate the support, and this will just help me continue to invest in taking things to the next level. Take care.
I begin to